In the sweepingly epic, lyrically luminous, and breathlessly empowering mythological masterpiece, Circe, #1 New York Times best-selling phenomenon and Orange Prize winner Madeline Miller delivers a definitive, towering epic of self-discovery and ancient power. The novel masterfully utilizes a mythological reclamation and exile to empire framework. The narrative centers on Circe, a strange and overlooked daughter of Helios, the Titan god of the sun, and the beautiful nymph Perse. Devoid of the staggering beauty of her mother or the blinding, fiery majesty of her father, Circe grows up isolated, mocked, and fiercely neglected in the glittering, predatory halls of the Titan courts. Yearning for a spark of true connection, she turns to the mortal world, a desperate longing that triggers a dangerous awakening within her, the dark, forbidden art of pharmakeia, witchcraft. When her newfound ability to transform rivals into monsters threatens the precarious balance between the Olympian gods and Titans, Zeus exiles her to the desolate, sun-drenched island of Aiaia. Miller's signature prose is exceptionally vivid, poetic, and dripping with an underlying hard-won ferocity that seamlessly balances classical Homeric weight with a deeply modern psychological acuity. The narrative employs a highly dynamic, chronological memoir structure, tracking Circe across centuries of isolation as she transforms her lonely island of exile into a formidable fortress of arcane power. Miller expertly weaponizes the feminist retelling and underdog awakening formulas, building a symphonic momentum as Circe crosses paths with some of mythology's most iconic and deeply flawed figures, including the monstrous Minotaur, the master craftsman Daedalus, the tragic Icarus, the fierce Medea, and ultimately the wily, battle-weary Odysseus. Far from a superficial fantasy adventure, Circe functions as a profound, beautifully textured study on the isolating price of immortality, the complex anatomy of motherhood and survival, and the ultimate realization that true sovereignty requires the immense courage to define your own identity, even if it means defying the tyrannical rulers of heaven and earth. The audiobook format is an absolute masterclass in dramatic performance, leveraging an incredibly immersive, deeply textured narration style that captures Circe's multi-century evolution with breathtaking realism. The vocal execution masterfully anchors the narrative's changing frequencies, perfectly translating the quiet, trembling vulnerability of a neglected nymph while contrasting it beautifully with the low, terrifyingly smooth and commanding resonance of an omnipotent sorceress commanding wild beasts and turning predatory men into swine. The superb auditory pacing turns high-stakes divine confrontations, intricate potion-weaving sequences, and heart-wrenching domestic confessions into an exceptionally addictive audio binge that flows magnificently through headphones. It is a mandatory listen for fiction purists who crave the rich, atmospheric mythological depth of Natalie Haynes and Jennifer Saint, combined with the elegant, character-driven prose of Margaret Atwood. By the time the final act forces an extraordinary, high-stakes choice between the static comfort of divine immortality and the raw, vulnerable beauty of a mortal existence, you will realize that Circe is an untouchable triumph, a brilliant, gold-lit map of human resilience and ultimate personal